I'm Sophia Williams, and never in my wildest dreams did I imagine I'd be telling a story that challenges everything most people think they know about our reality and its trajectory. At 52, I thought I was leading a typical life in suburban Wisconsin, balancing my work as a high school counselor while raising two teenagers alongside my husband, David. Like many families, we occasionally went to church, offered grace before meals, and I regarded myself as a spiritual person, moderately engaged but not overly religious. But that all shifted dramatically after a brush with death, and more importantly, a revelation about what lies ahead for our world. The day started off unremarkably enough. The refreshing morning air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers and freshly mowed lawns. I left my office at Oak Ridge High School, feeling particularly uplifted after a rewarding session with one of my students. I remember thinking about how lovely the weather was as I walked out, completely unaware that everything was about to change. As I neared the crossroads of Elm and Main, just a few blocks from home, the traffic light turned green, prompting me to drive ahead. My mind was preoccupied with a list of dinner preparations, particularly the chicken I needed to thaw. That's when tragedy struck. A delivery truck, its driver more focused on a phone conversation than the road, barreled through the red light at full speed. In that instant, everything seemed to slow down. I recall the screeching of tires, the flash of steel, and a chilling moment of realization washed over me. This collision was inevitable. When I felt the violent impact, the noise of crumpling metal and shattering glass overwhelmed me, abruptly fading into a profound silence. What unfolded next would irrevocably redefine my perception of reality, truth, and the cosmic struggle that is about to take place on our planet. I found myself hovering above the scene, a curious observer of my own accident as first responders arrived. It felt surreal, like being both a spectator and the star of a film. I spotted my body slumped forward, blood oozing from a wound on my forehead. The paramedics worked swiftly and meticulously, their expressions serious as they pried me from the wreckage. "No pulse," one shouted, and at that moment, they sprang into action, initiating chest compressions. As I lay there on the hot asphalt, I noticed how the afternoon sun cast long shadows over the scene. A crowd started to gather, their faces displaying a mix of horror and unsettling curiosity. Among them, I spotted Mrs. Carter from the grocery store, shock evident on her face as her hand covered her mouth. The paramedics were doing their job with impressive skill, yet their urgency grew palpable. A jolt from the defibrillator sent my body arching, but my heart remained lifeless. Time seemed to stretch and compress as I watched their frantic efforts. Suddenly, everything shifted. The accident scene began to fade like a poor television signal, and I felt a pull toward a light that seemed to emanate from every direction. This wasn't an ordinary light. It was a living presence, radiant and warm, not harsh or blinding, but filled with love and intelligence. A profound sense of peace washed over me, making all my earthly worries fade away. As I approached this incredible light, I sensed a powerful presence awaiting me. Standing there was none other than Jesus Christ, yet he was nothing like the images I had grown up seeing. His form defied description, existing in a state that was both physical and transcendent. The intensity of his love drew tears from my eyes. When his gaze met mine, I felt a deep understanding and an unconditional love that enveloped me. "Sophia," he spoke, his voice echoing deep within my soul. "What you are about to see is important. It must be shared with others. Time is shorter than many think, and my people need to know what lies ahead." With that, Jesus took my hand, guiding me through what felt like a veil of pure light. It was an extraordinary sensation, mingling warmth that flowed through me like a cascade of living energy. I felt more alive than I ever had while in my physical form. When we emerged on the other side, it was as if I had entered a massive amphitheater of light. Scenes from both the present and future unfolded before us like vivid holograms. "Watch closely," Jesus instructed, his tone a mix of authority and deep concern. "I will reveal to you the great deception that approaches, how it will begin, how it will spread, and how it will try to ensnare even my most faithful followers." I found myself swept into a vivid scenario where everything around me became eerily clear. It felt as though our planet was spiraling into a deep crisis, unlike anything we had experienced before. Disasters were striking at an alarming rate. Earthquakes were devastating entire cities, floods were engulfing coastlines, and storms were wreaking havoc across vast areas. And oddly enough, this chaos was only the beginning. According to what Jesus revealed, these disturbing events would pave the way for a figure known as the deceiver to rise. People, caught in the maelstrom of desperation, would be searching high and low for answers. Anyone who could bring some semblance of stability amidst the disarray. I witnessed a catastrophic global economic breakdown. Stock markets toppled one after another, like dominoes crashing down. Digital banking systems faltered, and suddenly, currencies were losing their worth overnight. It was shocking to see how quickly fortunes could vanish. Millionaires found themselves stripped of their wealth, while the middle class all but evaporated. As chaos engulfed cities worldwide, the scenes were grim. Everyday people were clashing over essential supplies, as neighborhoods transformed into battlegrounds. Governments were scrambling to keep control. An air of panic was palpable. Watch closely, Jesus instructed, as he highlighted the fact that these crises weren't mere coincidences. No, they were like pieces on a cosmic chessboard, strategically arranged to serve a higher purpose. That's when I saw him, the individual recognized by Jesus as the Antichrist. Initially, he was just an unremarkable figure in European politics, but then his ascent was astonishing. He was a striking man in his early 40s with a surprisingly relatable appearance that seemed to resonate with people from all walks of life. Yet it wasn't his looks that captivated. It was an undeniable charisma. When he spoke, there was a mesmerizing quality to his voice. It felt as though he was reaching into the very essence of those listening. I tuned in as he addressed the United Nations amidst the turmoil. Each word seemed carefully chosen, intertwining themes of unity, peace, and shared potential, forming a message that appealed to everyone, regardless of their background or faith. Really pay attention, Jesus suggested. This man had a way with partial truths, just enough to divert people from the authentic path. I listened intently as he discussed spirituality, seemingly embracing all faiths, yet subtly eroding their foundational beliefs. He cited various sacred texts, from the Bible to the Quran to the Bhagavad Gita, always with a slight twist that warped their true meaning. He mentioned Christ, but framed it in a way that suggested there were multiple ways to salvation, never endorsing any single path. Imagine a leader rising to power, not as a caring figure, but rather as a distant authority. This individual put forward his plan, known as the Global Harmony Initiative, to tackle the pressing issues faced by humanity. He amazed everyone with groundbreaking technologies that could cleanse water in an instant, grow food efficiently in any environment, and generate energy in ways that seemed to defy nature. However, there was a deeper layer to these innovations that was revealed. The great deceiver, as I soon learned, used these advancements as tools for manipulation. People would be swayed into believing he was addressing ancient struggles that had plagued society for centuries. As I observed further, he introduced a radical economic model that aimed to abolish poverty and ensure fair resource distribution, a global digital currency that he touted as the answer to economic ruin. At first glance, this system appeared flawless. It was designed to eliminate corruption, mitigate theft, and offer utmost transparency in transactions. However, behind this impressive facade lay a sinister intent. The currency turned into a means of restriction. Every financial action was tracked. Spending habits became linked to social credit scores intertwined with an individual's behavior, their connections, and even their opinions shared online. "Watch how the grip tightens," said Jesus, redirecting my gaze to the evolution of this system. Over time, what started as convenient tools like digital IDs and cashless transactions morphed into an intricate network of surveillance. People were quick to adopt these changes, often with excitement. Who wouldn't want easy access to health records, smooth travel, and security enhancements? But then I saw a concerning transition, as the leader rolled out measures he called social harmony protocols. Those who dared to express discontent found their access to services evaporating. Those who scrutinized official accounts of world events noticed their social credit scores dwindling, restricting their mobility and purchasing power. Look closely. Jesus pointed out, he doesn't require blunt force to exert control. The system itself does that job. I stood in shock as advanced AI systems emerged, equipped to interpret facial cues, voice tones, and digital behaviors. This technology could even predict potential dissenters before they could act. In suburban Wisconsin, Sophia Williams was watching the world around her change in unsettling ways. People labeled as potential disruptors were slowly being cut off from their friends and family. It was sad to see the fear in their eyes as loved ones backed away, worried that associating with them might impact their own social standings. Meanwhile, a powerful leader emerged, showcasing miraculous abilities that blurred the lines between technology and the supernatural. David, a friend of Sophia's, was captivated by the astonishing displays. This leader appeared to heal the gravely ill, manipulate the weather, and even resurrect the deceased. And the world was watching. Millions tuned in to witness these wonders, fascinated and increasingly convinced that he was the one destined to bring global peace. Among the most alarming changes was his reinterpretation of religion. Sophia noticed how he preached a new spiritual ideology meant to unite people of all faiths. Standing in Jerusalem, he seemed to effortlessly mend the long-standing rifts between Muslims, Jews, and Christians. His words offered a glimmer of shared truth, drawing many to his unprecedented vision. He initiated the reconstruction of the temple there, not as it once was, but as a futuristic marvel that welcomed all beliefs with dedicated spaces for worship. This structure appeared to defy the laws of physics, incorporating materials that morphed in color and shape, in tune with the feelings of those who entered. "This is how he will mislead so many," Jesus remarked with sorrow, revealing that rather than challenging existing faith, the leader would masquerade as its fulfillment. He lamented that many would come to believe he was heralding the arrival of God's kingdom on earth. Sophia couldn't shake the thought of how advanced neurotechnology played a role in this deception. People were using special gadgets that induced profound spiritual experiences, making them feel a deep connection to what they perceived as divine energy. The allure was so strong that many chose this new tech-driven spirituality over traditional beliefs. As she pondered these developments, a troubling vision of resistance to this leader's regime came to her. At first, it was discreet. Those who resisted the new ways felt the isolation creep in. They found it harder to buy groceries, keep jobs, and even access health care. Children of dissenters couldn't attend school. It was all shrouded in the guise of maintaining public health and safety, masking what was really a systematic form of oppression. "The mark he'll enforce will seem like a rational decision," Jesus explained, hinting at the sinister undertones beneath what was presented as logical and necessary. Imagine a future where what seems like a promise of security, health, and prosperity masks a deeper truth. Many individuals might overlook this reality, viewing it as just a pledge to a system that creates a divide between us and them. I witnessed the emergence of this David, a complex implementation of digital identity paired with biotechnology. It wasn't a simple physical mark. Instead, it was an intricate system woven into human biology. Those who embraced it unlocked enhanced abilities, better health, and intensified sensory experiences, all linked to a direct neural connection with a sprawling global digital network. The vision expanded as I saw how this deception would ripple through families and communities. Scenes of agonizing division unfolded before my eyes. Parents and children pitted against one another, siblings severing bonds, and friends drifting apart. It was heart-wrenching to realize that many who chose to accept this system genuinely believed they were acting in the best interest of their loved ones. "They will betray their own," Jesus lamented, his tone heavy with sorrow, as they report what they view as dangerous beliefs. I perceived a shift in the essence of churches. Many turned their backs on traditional teachings, instead following new leaders who presented their own enlightened take on Scripture. Pastors who adopted this emerging spirituality saw their congregations swell. In contrast, those who resisted were swiftly labeled as extremists, their voices drowned out. The influence of this leader seeped into every corner of society. Education underwent a radical transformation, with children introduced early on to the virtues of a fully integrated global system. History itself was rewritten, not through blatant lies, but through subtle shifts in narrative that discredited exclusive claims to truth as the root of humanity's challenges. As Jesus guided my gaze toward global happenings, I observed this leader facilitating remarkable peace agreements in regions long marred by conflict. He seemingly settled the Israeli-Palestinian dispute in a way that pleased both sides, oversaw the dismantling of nuclear arsenals across the globe, and restructured military forces into a worldwide peacekeeping organization under his command. However, beneath this facade of peace lay a disturbing reality. Control and surveillance ruled the day. Every individual's thoughts, words, and deeds were scrutinized and graded. Anyone dissenting from this enforced tranquility found themselves under constant watch, leading to a chilling atmosphere where freedom dwindled and fear multiplied. In the midst of escalating pressures, I realized that the suppression of divergent beliefs, particularly those who held on to the tenets of Christianity, posed significant threats to global harmony. But it wasn't an overt attack. Rather, it was a gradual, quiet sidelining of the truth. I found myself watching as it became nearly impossible for people to resist the overwhelming system. Digital currency became the only option as other forms of exchange disappeared. Surveillance seeped into everyday life, monitoring even private conversations. Social expectations became suffocating, leading to isolation for those who stood firm in their beliefs. Amid all this darkness, something beautiful unfolded before me. Small, tight-knit communities of devoted followers emerged, steadfast in their faith. They banded together, sharing resources and encouraging one another, their faith burgeoning even as pressures intensified. "These are my faithful ones," the voice of Jesus resonated with warmth. "They see the truth because they truly know me. Their strength is not from themselves, but from my Spirit dwelling within them." Jesus then revealed how the true nature of the leader would eventually become apparent. Once he had solidified his power and silenced any formidable opposition, what appeared as messages of tolerance and unity would morph into demands for absolute devotion. Those who had succumbed to his system would be ensnared, their minds and bodies chained to his control via the very technology they had adopted willingly. "The time to prepare is now," Jesus urged, his tone urgent. "Once the full extent of this deception takes hold, resisting it will be nearly impossible without complete faith in me." He illustrated how preparation shouldn't involve stockpiling physical supplies or constructing fortified shelters. Instead, it revolved around nurturing an unwavering relationship with him. Those who genuinely recognized his voice, who internalized his word, and relied on his Spirit would be the ones capable of spotting the deception. As my encounter with Jesus neared its conclusion, he presented me with hopeful visions that pierced through the impending gloom. I envisioned small gatherings of believers convening in homes, their faith a flickering flame that shone brighter in the face of adversity. Even as chaos unfolded around them, they radiated a peace that was beyond comprehension. "Keep these images close," he said, his voice resonating with both authority and compassion. "The victory is assured, even if the upcoming struggle will be intense. Those who remain true to me will uncover a strength within themselves that they never realized existed." As he spoke, I felt his gaze penetrate deep into my soul. "Sophia, you need to share what you've witnessed," he urged. "It's crucial to inform them about the subtle nature of the deception. It will come dressed up in promises of peace, prosperity, and unity. Tell them technology will masquerade as miracles, leading many to believe they're witnessing divine intervention, when in reality, it's just cleverly orchestrated illusions." My heart raced. "How can I convince them?" I asked, feeling the heavy burden of this task. "Some won't believe you," he replied softly. "Yet, those whose hearts are open will see the truth in your message. They will recognize that what you have seen corresponds with my teachings. The warning you bear could be the key to saving many from the coming great deception." Then, Jesus pointed out certain signs I needed to be aware of. He mentioned the swift rise of neural technology, the push towards a global digital currency, the creation of AI that could predict and sway human choices, and technology's role in enhancing spiritual experiences. These advances aren't inherently bad, he clarified. However, they will be twisted into a control system that, on the surface, seems helpful but ultimately shackles the souls of individuals to the deceiver. Before I could delve deeper into my inquiries, an unseen force shifted the atmosphere around me. The light began to alter. I recognized it was almost time for me to leave. He rested his hands on my shoulders, and his parting words etched themselves into my memory. Tell them of my everlasting love. Assure them that no technology, no system, no deceit can sever their bond with me if they cling to the truth. Time is limited, and the deception will be powerful, but I will always be with those who truly belong to me. In an instant, I felt myself being drawn back. The brilliant light diminished, and I began to hear faint voices calling my name. Returning to my physical form was a harsh shock, akin to jumping into icy water. I gasped, my eyes snapping open to a hospital room filled with medical devices and astonished faces. I learned I had been clinically dead for 4 minutes and 17 seconds. The medical team labeled it a miracle, baffled by my survival without brain damage after such oxygen deprivation. Yet I understood this was more than a mere medical phenomenon. It was a divine intervention. It's been quite a ride since that incredible experience I had, one that felt like a direct assignment from Jesus. For months, I've faced some tough and transformative challenges. Some people choose to brush off my story, labeling it as nothing more than a hallucination from a dying mind. Yet others listen intently, recognizing a profound truth in my words. I've seen some remarkable things start to play out just as Jesus had shown me. Every day, I witness technological advancements racing ahead, a ceaseless push for unification across the globe, and a slow but steady decline in the concept of absolute truth. The signs are becoming clearer, and deception is beginning to take form. It feels like the groundwork is being laid through what seem to be helpful innovations. Things like digital identity systems, cashless transactions, brain-computer interfaces, and AI technology designed to interpret and manipulate human behavior. Each new development seems to draw us closer to the system I was shown. At the same time, there's a glimmer of hope in the small, dedicated groups and intimate discussions I'm part of. Sharing my journey transforms the atmosphere. Sparks of understanding light up in people's eyes as they start to see the patterns. They begin to grasp the vital importance of grounding their faith in a personal relationship with Jesus, instead of mere knowledge about him. This experience has flipped my world upside down. Faith has shifted from being just a part of my life to its very core. Each morning I express my gratitude to God for this fresh start and the chance to deliver what feels like a crucial warning to others. My hope is that anyone who encounters these words will take them seriously and seek a closer bond with Jesus while there's still time. For those skeptical about my experiences, I encourage you to observe and stay vigilant. Notice the signs that point to what Jesus has revealed. Deception is on the horizon, but so is he. In that truth lies our real hope and ultimate victory. The time for hesitation is gone. We must confront a straightforward choice. Will we construct our lives upon the unwavering truth of Jesus Christ, or will we succumb to the impending deception? The decision we make now will affect not just our lives here on earth, but also our eternal fate.